Hey there, my name is Fela Abiyoye, and this is How to Corporate, my digital show about how successful professionals navigate career moves and money matters. Today's topic, how to be a producer, with my guest, Darius Reid. We're all producers, all right, regardless of whether you work in sales or any division, all right? If you have deliverables, if you produce results, if you have expectations of any sort, guess what? You're a producer. So if you're an attorney, you work in the medical field, you're an accountant, data analytics, anywhere you are in life, you're expected to produce. So having Darius as our guest today is going to be really special because he has a very strong and lengthy background in sales and producing. He's a senior director of sales and strategy and business operations in the manufacturing and appliances industry. And really excited to have him on today for us to talk about this. So Darius, I guess I'll turn it over to you, man, for a little second. You want to give the folks a little intro about yourself a little bit?
Absolutely. Like you said, I'm Darius Reid. I'll just take it back from the beginning where it started. I am originally from Los Angeles, West Coast, best coast, we say.
Best coast.
And I actually went to my undergrad at Texas Southern University. Great experience. And while I was there, I played football. I think that while we're talking about this topic, that it was very important that the lessons and the life lessons and learnings that I had and helped me kind of propel me in my career today. Because to the topic producer, that's all you have to do in sports. You have a short time window and you have to produce. There are no excuses. There are no, I'll do it next time. It is you have to do it right the first time. And if not, you may have an opportunity to get that chance again within the confines of the game and the rules. So a lot of that mentality has been embedded just through my upbringing as I came. And then I started off at a great, power tool company. They were number one in the industry. Started my career, moved across the South from Atlanta to Birmingham, doing various roles in sales and marketing and really in product development. And then I moved up to New York City with that company. And that's kind of when things started, the rubber hit the road, I call it, because when you get to New York City after a recession, which everyone may know, there's no excuses. If you want to produce, you have to get things done and you have to look at things differently, which we'll probably talk a lot about.
Yep.
And then I from there, I spent maybe about 5+ years in New York City in various roles. And then I came over to Chicago. So if you're looking at the map, listen to where I started, I'm starting to almost make that circle.
Yep.
Then went to Chicago, did a lot of that, and I made a transition into the, appliance industry. And did a lot of roles just in sales, marketing, again, product, go-to-market strategy, and got in more of the holistic enterprise-wide things of pricing. How do you influence and one decision can really create a positive chain effect of profitability if your strategy is right. And then did a lot of then made my way back to New York actually, and was running the East Coast for them just with that. So that was a big, large people leadership and how do you get and transform, your bag of business and how you approach things, which we'll talk a lot about. And then kind of came back now into my current role, which you said, senior director, right? So that's kind of a little bit about me, but I think it's imperative that people know that I didn't just wake up one day and the light bulb went off. This was actually day after day after day of repetitions, just like in sports, that I brought over into this to be who I am today. I'm sitting on this podcast with you, fellas.
No, man, that's awesome. You've got a really cool and unique background. I love the fact that you tied in sports to it, because for folks that at least have ever played a sport can really understand that, right? Like you got a short window to execute, right? To get something done. And you don't always get a second chance to do it, right? So, and but I guess, man, that kind of, to break it down, right, to in its most basic form, right, for the folks that may be listening that don't really understand, like what it is to be a producer, like what is producing, and I'm not talking about farming for anybody listening.
Yeah.
So,
right. But let's take that. Let's take that farming. Farming, I think, is
right.
funny, but I think farming is good. But let's take it in two different ways. So farming, as you produce, you have to go out. You have to get your ox. You have to get your plow. If we took it back to pioneer days, if we come back to here, you get your whatever machine that actually does the same thing of actually plowing and preparing, which is the key word of that, everyone, is preparing your actual, land. Then you go out, you lay the seeds, then you have to fold the seeds over, then you water it, and the sunlight comes and actually brings nurturing just from sunlight, and you have the water, and it starts to create itself, and then it starts to grow. But that doesn't happen just instantly, right? Producing doesn't happen instantly. So when you take it now into what it is, a producer is really someone who's consistent, who's disciplined, that has a strategy and a plan and executes it. That's producing. And then the results is what's the output of that, right? And then if you constantly are doing that, you become the producer, right? You think about it from cinema, right? First name on the credits is who? First name on the credits, and the first name when you go into actually the movie is the producer. The executive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The one that lays out the strategy, has the plan, gives the financial benefit so that it can fertilize into the movie that you see. But it's the same that being a producer is being someone who is consistent and accountable to what they have and bringing it to life and delivering, right? With no excuses, right? Because you're going to have barriers, you're going to have hiccups that come up, right? Roadblocks, you're going to have speed bumps, whatever you want to call them. But you have to, regardless of that, you have to overcome that. And that's what producers do.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great explanation, man. When you think about it from that aspect, because, you take the farming example, right? Somebody who's planting seed, right? But it's not a matter of just planting the seed. It's the watering, it's the toiling, the constantly making sure the nurturing that goes into
fertilizer, right?
The constant making sure there's no, pesticides or whatever, that would affect it. So it's so many elements that finally gets the harvest. That's the end product of it, right? So, but it's not a matter of just a one-time thing, right? Because one of the traits you mentioned, consistency, right? Are you consistent? If you're going to be a producer and consistency, they go together, right? They go together. You can't have one without the other. So it kind of feels like, the idea of being a producer is more of a mindset, right? I mean, what would you think about that? I mean, would you describe it more of a mindset than more of a maybe even just a title, quote unquote, than itself?
No, I think it is 100% a mindset, like you said. I think that if you correlate that even a step forward, it's continuous improvement, right? A producer has to continuously improve because what you did today is obsolete tomorrow. Think about that, right? If you're going to produce and constantly produce and deliver results and to achieve, and you take all these great ones, let's talk about Michael Jordan, right? Producer, one of the greatest ones we've ever seen.
For sure.
Right? He had to constantly, it was intense being on his team because he was always trying to improve, right? He was trying to get better than what he was yesterday or today, right? So that's what you have to do. And that continuous improvement, I think, is what really is the mindset of a producer. Because if you get and you take that step forward, you have to stay forward because you have so many people that are going to copy and replicate what you've done in the past. But if you're always improving, you're always going to be producing, right? So, that's how I would that's me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense though, right? Because we evolve, things change, right? And the best producers evolve with the change, right? If you if you're consistent and great at what you do today, but then those skill sets become obsolete, well, then you're not a consistent producer anymore, right?
You know? Exactly. You're not producing at the same rate that you were whenever in the past, right? So it's that you kind of have the mindset really is continuous improvement. And then that's the input, right? That's everything, the strategy, the preparation, the plan, the discipline, and then the output is
no, I mean, even if we break it down and think about some of the biggest companies out there that have withstand, some of just the trials and tribulations of either the economy or, technology changes. If I think about like Apple, right? I mean, where they were when they first, came out, right? Producing computers, and then kind of had to take a step back and then kind of rebrand themselves. And then now they're a whole technology company with phones and, and iPads and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, they've just consistently continued to evolve, right? They're consistently producing new products that, at the end of the day, folks expect them to be the leaders behind. So, and that's which is another element there too, right? Like producers, some of the best producers are usually some of the best leaders out there, I would say. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think that's 100% right. I think that at the end of the day, I would say if you're public or private, it's about the bottom line and the top line too. They work in tandem, right? You need to grow, and it's about, if you want to produce, it's about growth, right? You have to grow, and that's top line. And then you also want to grow the bottom, which is the profitability. So I think you're right, spot on. Then there's another element in there just about how do you guide groups of people and really articulate vision for them, because the idea as you start to, it's critical in your career as you start to move up to different levels, is that you can do something, but now when you get higher up, it's about how do you empower others to do it, because you're not doing it anymore. You're not an individual. If you're a people leader now, it's how do you guide and get, let's say, 10 people and them to become 10 people that you would do, 10 ways of people that would do it like you, right? So that you 10 people out there doing it the way that you would do it. So then that raises the water level of the organization, right? So it's critical. I think you're spot on that, because at the end of the day, it's about delivering results, and results is producing. So, and
it's boom. And I think that's so well said, man. Results is just, producing is delivering results at the end of the day. And, you could be great as an individual contributor, but, when you got to figure out how to produce through others, right, and lead people, that's a whole other element, man, because, you're like, hey, look, this is how I get it done. This is how I produce. And it's always worked for me, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate to the next person. Everybody's different. Everybody's got a different style, but you got to figure out a way to get other people to be, at least close to maybe whatever output you had, at the same time, or maybe even recognize that, what, this person doesn't have the same type of skill sets that I had, but they produce in different ways that's still valuable, right, to my team, my organization, to what I need to get done, and being able to recognize when you need to kind of pivot and pull, that lever, right, which is a big piece of it too.
I think, you're spot on. I think the other element is that when you actually get to and you learn and you can make a connection with the people that you're working with, and you understand them better, it helps you understand your consumer better. Because if you can connect with the people that are in your company and you're working with to lead and guide them, you're going to be in the same way. You're going to connect a lot better with your consumer, because you have to understand your consumer, just like you have to understand your people. It's the same thing. So when you have an open mind to always grow, that's it. And that's what we're talking about. A producer is growth, right? It's always about what are you growing. So I think that you're spot on with that. It's great.
Yeah, man. So, so thinking about it, right, from a sales aspect, right? Working in sales, you take a lot of rejection, right? But you also develop a lot of thick skin, right? And stick-to-itness, right? As you kind of go through that process. And, how do you think that translates to folks in their prospective careers who work directly in sales. I mean, the ability to take rejection but keep going, right? Because not everybody can handle that, right? Because even though, again, in this example, I'm talking about sales, but everybody receives some type of rejection in whatever world that you work in. How do you think that makes or breaks someone's ability to produce, kind of going forward?
First, I mean, you can never give up. I think that if let's take it how you're saying it, rejection, right? I would say that rejection is an opportunity. You got to put the positive spin, because obviously it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So obviously what you're saying is not getting the result that you want. So you have to change what you're saying, right? Don't think that you want to keep saying it or keep doing it or keep presenting it the way that you have been. You're going to get the same result. So you have to, it creates an opportunity for a person to grow, to enhance your style. You can't just have one style in sales. You have to be very crafty. Know how to read the room, understand your audience, because not everyone is going to understand it the way that you are, because we are all different people from different backgrounds. We have to connect and reach them differently. So I think that, rejection is great because it creates opportunity. And also, even with that, some people just have those personalities that they just like to say no at first. I give a story that when I was in New York City, I remember this as clear as day. There was this big construction company that I was trying to do business with. I was in the first time and wanted to, sell the products that we had, different things. It was going to be great. And the first day was like, no, and, got screamed at and told to get out and never come back. Okay. Most people probably would never come back.
Yeah, probably.
Right? You can't give up on the first try. If you were trying to get stronger, right? You just don't take one rep. You take multiple reps to build, right? That's how you build up the strength. Same thing. For instance, I said, I remember went back the next week, right? Same thing happened. Didn't I tell you? Yeah. Okay. Boom. Screamed. I'm talking like, it's New York. It's a passionate place, right? Happened again. Third week, fourth week, fifth week. Do you hear a trend of this? This is consistency. Persistence going back. Took me over 13 weeks. Okay. In a row. Same outcome. Okay. Screaming. Wouldn't give me a shot. And I remember it was literally 13th week. The gentleman said, "What can I do for you?" And I said, I just want you to try this and tell me what you think," and left. That was it. Okay. That was it. Came back following week. He said, "Can I have 100? Listen to that. On the first one, on the first try, don't ever give up. It may not work out. If you want to produce, you may have to keep fertilizing. You may have to keep watering. Right?
Even if you don't see the crop.
Even if you don't see the end result, you don't see the crop growing up and see it in front of you. Is that you have to understand that you have to stay disciplined to your strategy and your vision so that it comes to life. It's not going to be easy. Producing is not easy. It's hard work. Think about farming. Farming is hard work. I appreciate them. Respect to all farmers, right? That's a big deal. That's what, if you're a producer, that's what you have to do, right? And I remember it to that point. And honestly, from that point on, I was able to then get in there. It wasn't about trying to come in and have my pre-recorded sales pitch down to sell. No, that wouldn't have worked. It was a simple thing is that, listen, I see how passionate you are, how crazy you are, whatever words you want to use. No matter what I say, I'm not going to sway you. So here, I just want you to try this and leave. Simple. Come back. Proof is in the pudding. No, I don't even need to talk. I don't even need to sell you, because the development and everything that's gone into this is truly going to showcase itself. Right. And then, so if you want to talk about people that think about salesmen, then the selling came after I was in the door, had him believing in that product. Then I was able to scale and grow the portfolio within that company and became their biggest vendor and got vendor of the year. So things like that, that's when that happens. So for people is that you never give up. Just if it doesn't work out in the first one. I mean, I love, the Colonel Sanders from KFC story. That 1,000 times he was told no. 1,000 times he was told yes. How many people would have given up in between that 1 and 1,000? 99%, probably.
Oh, yeah.
99 point something, probably, most likely.
Sure.
That's rare, right?
It is, man. No, that's a great story, a great example of just what it means, to be consistent, right? To not let your surroundings dictate what your mindset is. Because like you said, we talked about, it's about mindset, it's about your stick-to-itness, right? So, and again, this doesn't just apply it to, working in sales. If you got a goal in life, whatever that is, and you're going to have rejection sometimes, you may apply for a role or apply for a job or try to get a business contact or try to get a connection, and they may just ignore you. They may blow you off. They may scream you down and be like, get out of here, right? But you got to have, I think, and to correct me if I'm wrong here, it requires a little bit of confidence, or maybe say a little bit, a lot of confidence, really, in yourself.
A lot of belief in yourself.
Belief and confidence in yourself to say, look, I don't care what's going on around me. I don't care what's going on. I got a goal. I got such a narrow vision and view of what I want to accomplish. Until that is done, this goal is not over. I can't stop. I have to keep going. I have to consistently keep trying, but be willing to, change my method along the way, right? Because, you can keep trying something, but if it's just not working, right? I think it's an important element to recognize, this isn't working. I think you kind of mentioned that a little bit.
It's called reflection, right?
Reflection, exactly.
That's reflection, and then you have, and when you take it forward, it's continuous improvement. To constantly improve what you're doing, right? But yes, I think that people out there, I want you to understand that sometimes you may get rejected, if we take that word, more than you get the wins. That's okay. As long as you are hitting the mark and the goal that you have for yourself, or overdriving it. The key is really to overdrive it. A producer over delivers, right? They hear about that under promise, over deliver, right? But that's what being a producer is, right? You have to bring forth the achievement. And I think that to your point, all of that is right. Rejection happens. That's all right. Get comfortable. Get okay with that, because the moment that you become that, it doesn't shut you down and take, because it's not personal. It has nothing to do about that. It's about business. Think about it. Business is all about making money. It's as simple as that. And if you can do that, at the end of the day, people will grow to like you, because all people, the way that our world has been set up, it's about, and the economic system is about, how do we grow our money, companies. So if you can do that for that, that's what happens. So I think it's good.
Yeah, and I think people naturally gravitate positively to people that, are consistent, right? Or, have a strong mindset to say, you know what, I really want to accomplish something. I'm really goal oriented, So, and so I think there's something to be said there, is that even if you're not always getting the opportunity the way you think you should, but like you said, if you just keep trying, like eventually it will come to fruition in some way, So, So thinking about it, right, staying in the same vein of, in the sales perspective, right? Sometimes people think about sales when they think about, oh man, you're a sleazy, car, you're going to sell me a lemon, you're a used car salesman. No offense to anybody who does, who works in the auto industry or does sales cars. I don't think of you like that, but it is a known stereotype, right? Of people thinking about, working in sales as being like kind of sleazy. You're always trying to sell me a product, or you always got a hidden agenda. Like, for anybody who is trying to maybe adopt this same mindset, how does one approach it where they're not coming off as like trying to sell something, right? You kind of talked a little bit about it in your example, but how do you broach that conversation?
Yeah, I think that it's not jumping in and doing the pre-recorded, right? So that's when you become you have to connect and understand the person, what's there, what drives them, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to be the incentive to trigger them to want to get on board? Because once you understand the other side is how you create your plan. You don't come in with a plan and not knowing who you're selling to, right? Because every single person, every situation is different.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. It's just the way it goes. That I think you have to understand that other side, right? And you ask those questions, right? Because you may have a frame of mind of what you want to say in the beginning. And if you ask questions, you may automatically make some tweaks to what you're saying so that it resonates on the first try, right?
So the active listening then.
Active listening, that's it. Mm-hmm. That's critical. And then from that point, that's how you turn that into what you want. And I think that's the critical piece, right? You can't just come in and say, this is the way I'm going to do it. It's not how because everybody's different. You got to active listening is critical. And then you take that and say, okay, how do I formulate the best for this situation, right? And then grow it, because it's all about getting to the end result. And they always say, how many roads are there to the top? So many. So you may have to take different road and may not use one again. That's it. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
But as long as you are adaptable, right? That's that adaptability, right? That's important to me,
Yeah. No, that makes sense, man. Being adaptable, being able to pivot, being nimble, I think is an excellent example of being able to produce, right? At least being someone who's able to get results. Is someone who probably can adapt to whatever situation, right? Because normally you put a person like that in any situation, more often than not, right? They'll come out on top, right? And it's not because they're using the exact same method every single time, but they're assessing, they're doing active listening and figuring out what's the best method in order to accomplish this goal for this particular situation, this day, in this moment. So,
I'll even take it to a step further of adaptability, agility, right? Let's take sports. I know some people that may be listening can adapt, can really understand the sports analogies, right?
Yep.
If you think about it, they're in football, there's a play. They call it that you're supposed to run the ball to the right. Okay, simple. Normally in practice, you practice that, you run it to the right. Now in the game, there's a defense that has probably said they're probably going to run it to the right. Right.
Yep.
So they set up and they blitzed that side. Didn't prepare for that. That wasn't part of the plan. Right. Now that player, that running back, whoever you want to see it, or the quarterback, they adapt. They have the agility. He hands the ball off to the running back. He says, you know what? I need to plant my foot in the ground and go to the left because everybody's overloaded to the right. That's agility. And he does it within split seconds.
Yep.
And that's being quick to adapt to that thing. And I think that is really what it takes, because it's never going to work out the way that you draw it up sometimes, that you have to be adaptable, right? And you have to be agile, right? And that's agility, right? Some of the best players are the most agile ones, right? Think about it in history, right? So,
yeah. No, again, man, I think that's a really easy example, I think, for folks to understand. And I really hope people don't let that go over your head, being agile to your situation, because, things are constantly happening all the time. And your ability to plant your foot and make that left can be the difference. Reaching your goal or getting to the finish line, or getting a touchdown or whatever, you having to pull back and start back over again, right? So your ability to do that. And like you mentioned before, it comes with reps. It comes with reps, man. That's the only way. Well, that's not the only way, but to me, the most consistent way in order to be able to know, okay, I need to hit left, or I need to turn right, or I need to make another move, right? Is having the consistency, ability to actually have opportunity to try again and again and again, So it's hard to be able to do that just naturally, quote unquote, without any real preparation. So, but no, man, I love that. I love that example. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, you've been working in sales pretty much your whole career. I mean, you talked a little bit about, and crisscrossing the country a little bit and being able to just do this in multiple different areas. And so how has, you working in sales, you producing, how has that helped you progress your career? Like, how have you felt like learning these skill set allowed you to really just, have the trajectory that you've had in your career?
You cannot do everything the same way everywhere. You just can't, right? It's you have to look at your situation and where you are and with who, and to adapt to that. And that's where I've been able to just really live it in adapting. So I would say that's kind of the best thing for me of working in different places and that. And I think that the growth from that has been great. I mean, I've studied, from different types of teaching, even though education is kind of standardized across the board, but it's done differently with different approaches, right? I've did high school, of course, on the West Coast. I did my undergrad in the South. I got my MBA from, Kellogg Northwestern in the Midwest, and it's different, the principles, and you get all these different types of people from different places that come. It's helped me just understand and grow my perspective, really. Gotcha. On just business and sales. It's really the growth of my perspective, because it's changed, because who I was 10 years ago is not who I am today. Right?
Gotcha. Yeah, no, man, that's awesome, man. I think, so what I'm hearing is you allowed the experiences that you had, and you allowed yourself to have multiple and widening experiences to really help shape, just your ability to, adapt and learn and thrive in multiple different environments. So
I would say I was open, because I think a lot of people are not open to taking those risks, taking those challenges that are outside of their comfort zone. You have to take calculated risk. I wouldn't say just do things as just jumping off the cliff. You jump off the cliff, you probably go not make it back.
There's a thought process in all of this. So don't get it twisted, right? There's a lot of thought process in this. Yeah, for sure.
If you jump off the cliff, maybe tie yourself here with a rope, or have a little back that you can do a little gliding, right? That's exactly right. That's where it goes. But you'll get to see things differently from the view. But I think it's spot on that you have to get outside your comfort zone to grow.
What are some steps you think, someone could take, or to start to try to adapt or try to adopt, the mindset of a producer? I mean, are there maybe some reference material or some books or anything out there that you feel like could help?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think that I'm trying to think. There's a great book called Winning with Accountability. It's an easy read. Winning with Accountability, right? It's a Henry J. Evans, right? It's a great book. I think that is a good place to start, because it gives some easy frameworks to apply, to adopt into what you're doing. And you can do that with anything, of understanding that. I think that is the first step. I think, and actually, that's the second step. I would say the first thing is to honestly look in the mirror and assess yourself. Because the self-assessment is the reality, right? If you think that you are great at everything and you're not achieving what you think you want, so that means you're not.
Yep.
So understanding what it is that you need to get better at in the field that you are in, right? First, I think is the first step, is looking in the mirror. That's that ownership, that's self-reflection. You have to understand that first. Then once you do that, I think reading that book is a great one. I think there's another one. It's I'm trying to even remember it. I think I may have it, but it's How to Succeed with Continuous Improvement, right? I think that having the mindset and adapting the mindset of continuously improving, they call this, Six Sigma is what it actually is, people think about it, that there's a lot that goes into that Toyota model of how you constantly are improving, that things will happen, but how you address them and how quickly you address them and get them right to keep everything going is critical. I think having that, that's another great book, because it starts to build the mindset that, you're not going to have the silver bullet. It's not going to be perfect, right? You used Apple, right? Apple didn't, right? They came out, the computer that they came out with is not the computer that we have today.
No, not at all.
It clearly is not. Yeah. But that's that improvement. Then they said, okay, how do I grow this platform and ecosystem so it works together and all that happens? But that was from continuous improvement, right? I think those two key things, with winning with accountability and how to succeed with continuous improvement, I think is very, very great. I think those are two great books that you can have. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, man, I appreciate that. I think it's important to, for folks to have a place to start, right? Especially if they're trying to figure this out and they're starting with themselves. And like you mentioned, first step is taking that self-account, right? Looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, okay, what do I need to work on? Where's my greatest opportunity? And how do I want to be better than the next day or better than the next person that I'm trying to produce against, right? Because it's we use a sports analogy, but at the end of the day, it really is, you're competing. You're competing with yourself, you're competing with other people, right? Because you're using them a little bit as your measuring stick to say that, okay, I see what you did there. That was great, but I'm gonna do better though, right? And how could I do that? So, but no, man, I love this material, and I'll make sure to drop that in the show notes for anybody out there trying to, get the information there too, man. So, look,
I think I want to build on what you said, so people they understand this, right? You have to compete, but you have to compete your way, right? Don't try to be something that you're not. Okay? Be who you are, but the best version of you. Okay, that's important. Meaning that it's okay. You don't have to become an extrovert person if you're an introvert. You just have to be the introvert that you can, right? And do things and expand on that. It's no one's made. You don't have to become someone else. You have to be the best who you are.
When you know your lane, you kind of stay in your lane, but you're willing to still expand how wide that lane is, right? Allows for the growth and the consistency to happen there. So, no, man, I think that's key, because sometimes folks can feel like, well, I got to be like this person, or I got to be like that, or I got to, do like this in order to achieve this goal. But no, like I said, you can't be them as much as they can't be you. We all bring something unique to the table. Absolutely. So being able to really, pull from that is what's going to set you apart from the next person.
Yeah. And that's important, is always try to grow. It's that growth and how you grow, and you may grow differently. I mean, myself, I spent about almost 10 years working, and then in the business, corporate environment. And then I went back and got my MBA. That was important, because I knew I had to get to the next level that I wanted to get to.
Man, I can't thank you enough, man. I think you dropped a ton of great gems, man. Hopefully folks are writing some of this stuff down, or, if you're driving, then pull over, take some notes. Cause like I said, there's a lot of material in here that I think folks can really take and try to apply, and hopefully, get better. Cause at the end of the day, that's what this platform is all about, is trying to help people get better, help them achieve their goals and their careers, and recognize that, a lot of these skill sets are transferable. They don't apply to just one particular career. This doesn't apply just to sales. And hopefully you got that out of this. This isn't just about sales. This is about producing in life in general. And these skill sets translate to pretty much anything that you want to accomplish in life. It's going to require it. So. Yep,
absolutely. Yeah. No, pleasure. Pleasure was all mine.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your time. As we wrap up, I don't know if you want to share if your contact information, if folks want to get a hold of you, or, be able to reach out to you.
Absolutely. I would say you can find me on LinkedIn. If you listen to this and you drop in, How to Corporate, and you put that tag in there to me, then let's connect there. It's Darius Reid. You'll be able to find me, but find me on LinkedIn. You can shoot me a message. I will get to you as quickly as I can. It's not that I'm not. I have other things that I'm doing.
He's a busy man.
Yeah, don't take it personal, but please reference this. And then if you want to connect, and then let's connect and stay there. That's kind of how I connect with the outside world. So
awesome.
But
awesome.
Really appreciate it, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate you. So thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. For more content, please click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms at How to Corporate. Until next time, keep building.